now it's my privilege to bring in Michael Gonzalez. He is a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Allison Center for Foreign Policy. Michael, you got your hands full on a normal basis looking outside our borders, but now we seem to be attacked from inside our borders, attacked on our history.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. Thanks a lot for having me on. We used to think that we defeated Marxism, communism, when the Soviet Union finally went away and we won the Cold War. But now we have a Marxist enemy within. They really are, and their approach is straight line. I'm not being extremist here. The Marxist approach of changing history, using history as it's something malleable, as something that things that happen can be changed in order to seize the future. These are the two things that are solid, right? The past and the future. The present is ever fleeting. So what they want is to change the future, to change America. That's why I call my book The Plot to Change America. And they see history as their vehicle for doing that.
Well, so it all really started with the 1619 Project, mainly, and this series in the New York Times, riddled with errors and inaccuracies in opinion. It's now blown up to a curriculum in many schools, especially urban schools.
Yeah, I would actually put its beginning at Howard Zinn and the People's History of the United States, which is still, sadly, one of the best-selling history books in the United States. If your listeners go to Amazon and search a People's History of the United States, they find that it is selling really, really well, and that's because all schools, K through 12, and universities use a pack. This is really a pack of lies. So the 1619 Project in 2019 takes up where that leaves off, but it's all about critical race theory. It looks at everything through the prism of race in America, and it does exactly as you say. It has a lot of inaccuracies, like huge inaccuracies. One of the biggest is that what the founders were doing was not trying to liberate the country and create a home for liberty. They were trying to preserve slavery because they were afraid that the British were going to take away slavery. That is nowhere to be found in the historical record. And yet, the 1619 Project, it bases itself on this. It pretends that America begins not in 1776 or even 1787 when the Constitution is drafted. It begins when the first Africans arrive on our shores in Virginia in 1619. And that, of course, that is not true. America really as a project for freedom begins in 76. Imperfect as it is, man is flawed. And what the history of the United States is, it has a lot of instances where we have not lived to our aspirations. But I can tell you, Brian, I've lived in like 8 different countries in the world. This is still the freest, most prosperous country in the world. And just look at people want to come here, not the other way around.
Yeah, I thought that. And then there's been some pushback on the 1619 Project. They admitted some of the stuff they got wrong. Of course, the Revolutionary War wasn't about slavery. And, of course, slavery was, as George W. Bush first said, a guy I used to work with, America's original sin. But how could we not be for freedom and liberty? How could we not be for freedom and liberty, a country that's continuing to correct itself and make itself better?
Well, you know this history very well because you write a lot of this history too. I mean, your work on the spy plan, the spy group in
George Washington's Secret Six. Thank you.
Yeah, in the Revolutionary War is fantastic. Look, I think your question answers itself. The people proposing this thing are very open about the fact that they don't like capitalism. They don't want capitalism. They think capitalism is racist. Capitalism leads to unequal outcomes. They want to dismantle capitalism. This is not Mike Gonzalez saying this. This is Ibram X. Kendi. This is Robin DiAngelo. This is Alicia Garza. This is Patrice Cullors, leaders of the Black Lives Matter organizations that are Marxist, and leaders and proponents of critical race theory. They think socialism works a lot better. Nicole Hannah-Jones, the architect of the 1619 Project, told Vox 3 years ago that she thinks the ideal biracial place where race relations work the best is Cuba, and she said that is because it's socialist. Yeah. So this is why I call my book The Plot, because this is the plot to change our capitalist system, to change our representational democracy, our republic, to something that was never meant to be.